inspections, things like that. So that's what I'm pretty much into now. And as Perrysburg's growing, it's beginning, this part of the fire service is growing more and more and more, trying to educate people. Because as we all know, just because you call 911 doesn't mean that someone's going to get there in a timely manner, okay? And we all saw that down in Hurricane in North Carolina and Florida, where responders just cannot get there. You call, and we can't go through anything better than a normal person, through weather, things like that. So there can be some delays in events getting the service to you, especially in Perrysburg here. It's growing so much that we're getting more and more calls. So we have many times where we have 3 or 4 calls going on at the same time. We have to bring a neighboring department in to respond to the emergency. So we really stepped back and said we really need to step up our program of teaching the public some basic things that can really help save a life, okay? Because the way I look at it, there's 3 things that kill people really quickly, okay, if someone's not intervening with them. And the first one, obviously, is cardiac arrest. If you don't do something immediately to help them start CPR, hopefully find an AED, get it there, I mean, their survival is going to, their chances go down. For every minute that goes by that something is not done for someone, their chance of survival drop by about 10%. So that's why you're getting early CPR started, even if you're just doing compressions only, is very important. So that's one thing. The second thing is obstructed airway. Okay, someone's eating, choking on something, you have a total obstructed airway, you've got about 3-4 minutes to go before you're going to be unconscious, not breathing, and in cardiac arrest. So that's quicker, that can happen quicker than what we can get to a lot of places. So that's why it's important for people to know to do these things to help someone. So again, we're not talking about those today, but this is kind of the three part of the pyramid that we're trying to really push on people. But today we're talking about stop the bleed, because that is something that can also be can take someone's life in 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, it doesn't take long for you to bleed out if you get a severe cut. So again, that's quicker than what we can get there many times. So you got to do something. And the bad part about the bleeding is many times it happens to a totally healthy person. You're fine, you're out in the garage working on something, and you got your chainsaw, and you just turn away and look, bing, you cut yourself. And you know, if you're not ready to prepare to respond to this, someone's not there, you could be bled out before help arrives. So that's why this program is so, well, I really like it. It's why we really are starting to push it this year. It's the first year we really started offering this out to the citizens and things like that, and we've had really good response with it. And one interesting thing, I know you talked about seeing the AEDs at the hospital and stop the bleed kits with them going along, and that is something we're doing in the city here. We're putting 7 new AEDs throughout the park system and things like that. We're putting stop the bleed kits with them too. So these things will be readily available to the citizens, and we're going to offer next year training to all the people of the city that want to learn how to use an AED and how to learn to use a stop the bleed kit. So we're being very proactive, and hopefully we're going to help cut down on, you know, some of these needless deaths on people, because we can make a difference just by that initial response. So, but again, you got to stop the bleed. It's like Kathy already said, it came basically out of the military, is where it came from. A lot of the techniques and the procedures have come from that. We kind of already knew about all these things, but there was a lot of things that were kind of gray areas. Putting a tourniquet on someone, you know, the old thought was, if I put a tourniquet on him and leave it on for more than a couple minutes, it's going to destroy his arm, he's going to lose the use of the arm and all those things. And so that was kind of the taboo. Man, I don't really want to put a tourniquet on. Well, if you don't put it on, he's probably going to bleed to death. So we've overcome a lot of this by this information the military found. You know, they put tourniquets on some of these soldiers that were severely injured, arms or legs, whatever, and they may have had a 2 or 3 hour transport time to the nearest facility to get care. So when they found out, yeah, we're putting this on, we're leaving that tourniquet on for a couple hours, and they're fine. So that stigma kind of went away with, you know, don't put a tourniquet on, you know, it's going to cause damage. Yeah, if you leave it on for 12 or 48 hours, yeah, it's going to be, but the short term, you know, a couple hours, 3 hours, it's not going to really cause any damage, and it's going to, by all means, you know, do more to help that person save their life. And in this area, I'm sure throughout most of the state, you know, we're less ready to have a hospital right in town here, so we're, you know, we're 20 minutes from the time we get on the scene somewhere to transport to get up to the hospital and get, you know, treatment started. So putting a tourniquet on anymore is not the issue it used to be. Again, we're really encouraging them, having people cabin their cars at home, whatever, to get that on here, because that's the first line of defense of trying to help someone and it's life-threatening bleeding. Now, obviously, a tourniquet is only going to work in certain areas of the body, so we're going to talk about some other areas. But that's kind of what this whole program is. And again, I think it's a very good program. So we're just trying to again get the information out to everybody. So hopefully everybody got one of these little booklets. If you did, make sure you grab one here. And then also we have a sheet to sign in to make sure that I got everybody's name. So I can, if you didn't get a certificate, I'll make sure I get you one.
The certificate's all in the back, but if you want to go ahead and redo that.
Yeah, because I keep that record and I turn it into Stop the Bleed, so I show many people. So we got you this thing, and then the big thing is you got your official Harrisburg Solar Eclipse keychain, which is going to be future collectible because we bought a bunch of these for the eclipse because we were the center of the whole thing, and we had a lot left over. So the chief said, get rid of these things. So you guys got them. If you need more, I got a bunch for you. So that's kind of what we got. So okay, so let me grab my mouse here, and we're gonna. We're going to get started with the program. I want to go through this pretty quick because I want to have time for you guys to come up and actually try, put your hands on, try some of these techniques. I mean, we're going to look at putting a tourniquet on. The three things we're going to do is we all know what stops bleeding. Pressure, right? So that's what we're going to be practicing on, just depending on how we're going to do the pressure. It's going to be a tourniquet doing the pressure. There's going to be packing the wound and putting pressure on that, or just covering the wound and putting a adhesive bandage on to control it. Whatever it is, we're putting pressure. That's what's going to help control that. Don't worry, there's nothing crazy in here, so it's not going to be anything that no one will pass out, so you'll be fine. Okay, again, this has all come from the military, so greatly appreciate all the things, and the Department of Defense has helped funding some of these programs and getting this stuff up and running. So it's a very good thing to have happen here. So. Okay, bleeding is the #1 cause of preventable death from injuries, okay? So again, it doesn't take long for accidents to occur. Like I said, it doesn't have to be some crazy mass shooting or something where you need to do these things. You'd be working in the kitchen with a knife and you're not looking, you come across and cut your arm. That's enough that you could cause life-threatening bleeding event, okay? So it's not like it has to be some major event that occurs, and this can occur really any time. So that's what's really, important about this, because it can happen to anybody, anytime. You can be perfectly healthy, get hurt, and you can bleed out. So it's a very, very important thing that we at least have some idea on how these things, what we can do. Okay, and bleeding cause of death for people under the age of 46. I've seen age under 50, but 46 is a good one to do. A major cause of death in all age groups. Again, this one's a big one. People can die before the ambulance arrives. Then motorcycles are a leading cause of this for traumatic injuries. Vehicles, motorcycles are a big one we see a lot of. Somebody gets ejected off a motorcycle, flying through the air, and 40 miles an hour they come in contact with an armed guardrail or even a traffic sign. It's like a razor blade right off. So it's important that you may come across that someone just driving around town or something. So this stuff can happen. So and controlling that bleeding may be the thing that's going to help save that person's life. This is a great one. It's one of my favorite slides. So you can see what doesn't add up here. People can bleed to death in 3 to 5 minutes, and we're better at this here, more and more, but we can get there a little bit quicker. But the average time throughout the country is 7 to 10 minutes for EMS to arrive. So those don't add up, do they? You can be gone before we even get there. So that's why it's important that we have some idea on how some of this stuff does work. So, and then this one, 40% trauma-related deaths worldwide, 40% because of bleeding. So that's a pretty big number on those things that occur. So now, real quick, how much blood do we have in our body? Those are rough numbers, so don't hold me to anything. Anybody have an idea what roughly? It can vary from children to adults, a large person, a pregnant lady. But what's an average, you think? 5 to 7 liters, pretty close. So we'll just say 6 liters as the general thing. So if you lose about 40% of that volume, what's going to happen? You're going to be in serious issues, okay? Because you're not having enough blood to oxygenate and get through the body. So all kinds of bad things start to happen once you get past that point. And it's just going to continue worse and worse as more blood is lost. So we want to prevent that from occurring, so it doesn't take long for that to occur. Now, in this area, and I'm sure in your home areas too, we do not carry blood on the ambulance, okay? We carry IV fluids we can replace volumes, but we cannot replace blood. That's something that's done in the hospital, unless it's some special event where there's a major trauma and they bring it out to the scene. But most of the time, there's no blood available to us when we get to the scene. So what we have to work with is what we have to work with. So we really want to make sure that we can try to keep as much in somebody as possible. So, and some of these techniques are what we can use to do that stuff. So, but again, that's a really great slide. So I think it really shows what we're trying to bring out here. So, okay, then this can happen for, all those things. Is this not the big things? It can be the big things, but, it's not only these big major things. So, all right, let's keep going here. Again, that's what we already talked about, lessons learned from some of the recent conflicts. Now, this is a really important one. So, me being in fire service for all these years, something we always do when we go to a scene is we look and make sure the scene is safe. We call it scene safety, okay? We either do a 360 where we take a quick scan around what's going on. This is what we got called for, is what we're seeing. We want to just be careful before we rush in to help someone, because the old saying, you probably heard it in your CPR class, whatever, you can't help someone if you get hurt. So you got to be careful. Look around. If you're going to a traffic accident, be careful. Is there down wires there? Is there down wires touching the car? You run up to touch the handle to help the person. Bingo. You're victim number 2. So you got to be aware of those things and all these things. You get broken glass at a scene. You get fire. You can have all kinds of fuel spill. So that's it. And even could be at home too. You can have something where someone is in an accident or something, and there could be a chainsaw still running or a saw running, whatever it may be. So just kind of take a little bit, be aware of what can be going on, and make sure you stay yourself. You're safe yourself. So that's very, very important. And this one's an important one to try to have. You may not always be able to do it, but try to have at least the minimum of some gloves on to protect you. We all know there's blood-borne pathogens, possibility of blood, so we want to minimize our contact with that and keep us safe. So those are things that are just kind of the general, fall into the term of don't put yourself in harm's way. Make sure that scene is safe before you can rush in there and help someone. So don't forget that one. It's very important. And we get that drilled to us in our head over and over and over in the fire service. You can't take anything for granted. It may look fine, but it may not be. So be careful when you're rushing to help someone, especially at an accident or some kind of major incident. Again, okay, calling 911. This is a big one too that a lot of mistakes are made. 98%, I think it's 90% in this area, I'm sure it's pretty much around the state, of 911 calls come in on a cell phone, which is great because you have it with you, you can call and get the information right there. But the key thing you want to do is get that call made and get that help coming to you right away. When you do call, you want to make sure you give as much information that you know about what's going on. The main thing is, where are you at? I'm at 123 Main Street, at the corner of Front and Main, Toledo, Ohio, by the McDonald's. Whatever you can paint a picture for the dispatcher so they know where you're at. Because sometimes if you call and say, I'm at 123 Main Street, and hang up, how many main streets in every little town has a main street? So they don't know. So it takes more time to figure that out. So try to be as precise as you can when you do that to get that help coming to you, because mistakes are made every day with that type of issue. And then the other one is, don't hang up until the 911 operator tells you it's okay to hang up, because you may have something to add to them. They may have something they want you to check on, and if the crews are getting there, where are you at? We can't find you. So I'm in the backyard. So you keep that communication open. So just stay in the line with them. With cell phones, it's very easy to do. You just take it with you and put it out by the person you're trying to help, put on speaker, and you can kind of keep that line of communication open. And that's the same thing if you're doing CPR or whatever. The scene safety and this go hand in hand with any of those type of, you're responding to help with anybody. So, all right. Okay, this is a cool one too. Okay, what is life-threatening bleeding? Okay, we already talked about you lose approximately 40% of your blood and all that good stuff. What does that look like? Blood that is briskly and continuously flowing, okay? So, in this example, that would be something like that. It's continually flowing, and it's just, continually going. It's an artery, it's going to be kind of pumping out. If that's the case, the heart's a pump, right? And it's doing what it's right to do. It's pumping that out. And the heart doesn't know that it's open in the system now, so it's going to keep pumping that blood out, no matter if it's recirculating around or not, until there's nothing left. So you got to look for these signs. So that is something we really want to. Now again, all this stuff is happening really quick. We're talking, stretching this out here, but it really happens quick. So you're going to make these decisions like this. What's going on? So that is one thing we can look for, is briskly and continuously flowing. This one's a good one. Anytime there's a loss of extremity, hand, arm, leg, whatever, that is considered life-threatening bleeding, okay? Now, you chop the finger off, maybe that's not so much, you can probably control that with pressure, but any kind of major amputation, yes, that's no doubt. Tourniquet's gonna go on there right away to help control that, so you wanna make sure that we keep that in mind. This is a neat one. At least half the volume of a soda can of blood pooling on the ground. So go home and take your can of favorite beverage and pour half of it out of a 12-ounce can and look at that, see what that looks like. If you see that much blood on the ground, that is considered life-threatening bleeding. So that's not that much when you look at it on the ground. So I know blood is dramatic when it's out there. It looks, you know, it can look, it's hard to determine sometimes, but just think of it in that type of scenario, that's a good way to do it. The other one is that someone that is becoming confused or unconscious, okay? If they've lost enough blood, they're not gonna be able to maintain, you know, consciousness and things like that, so they lose consciousness, they may be confused, not making sense, things like that, because they're just not getting enough oxygenated blood to the brain to carry on normal function. So those are all things you can look for. Again, these things have to be done pretty quick to identify what is going on with that. So, okay, see if this will work. No guarantees. All right. Not a big deal. Yeah, you can see what they're trying to cover. We are talking about it. So those are the things they're looking for in that. So again, it's that blood is continuously going. Man, this is coming quick, so we need to address it pretty quick. So not. All right.
The sound's not attached to it. The headphone jack needs to be there.
Oh, well, let's go with it. It's okay. Somebody call the guy?
Nah, here's what we call it. I can talk about it.
I always like when I can call the guy.
Okay, again, this is a recap of that. Again, having fun with the soda can, brisk and continuous, loss of extremity, someone's unconscious or very confused, something like that. So those are the things that we're trying.
That's your headphones.
No,
Do you have headphones?
no, I don't have a computer, so yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And audios?
Yeah, that's a,
Yeah, there needs to be.
that's it. We can talk. There's
Are
not
you
that
sure?
much.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Oh, you got one? Okay, maybe it'll work. Try it. We'll try this one. Maybe work the same time.
It needs to be set to the headphones with, there's output sound on it.
Yeah.
Go to like to the settings for headphones and then go to that check.
Oh, they came and reset, so it's still some more back there. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, it's very, oh, good, good.
Okay, so we said what's going to control bleeding. So the first one we're going to talk about is pressure, okay? That is what we can do. And like they say, pressure can be used anywhere on the body, okay? So actually just putting pressure on a wound, whatever you have to control it, that is the ideal thing to do. So now, there's a couple of things we can do. Again, obviously use the gloves when we're doing these things. You can put pressure on anywhere on the body. You can pack a wound, basically in the extremities or in the areas around the shoulders, the groin, in the neck. We can pack a wound. If you have a wound in the abdominal area, it's probably tough to pack that. You'll have so much gauze in there, it's not going to be effective. So we're just going to put a dressing over it, put a pressure bandage over that area. Those are the three things that we are going to do. You can see in there, if we don't have gauze, we can just take a shirt or something and just pack the wound and get that something in there and then put that pressure on there. So we'll show you how to do that in just a second. But that is what we can do to do that. Now, the neat thing about that, how we're going to put the pressure on there, goes back to the good old CPR class. We're going to put the gauze in there, pack the wound, or we use the shirt, whatever we're doing it. Pack it in there, then we're gonna put the excess on top, and then put our hands, just like we're doing CPR, your palm down like this, and push down as hard as you can to keep that pressure on in there, okay? It's gonna take 5 minutes or so for clotting to start, so you're gonna have to at least keep that. If someone comes along with a pressure bandage, which we'll look at here in a second, put that on there, you can do that. But that pressure is the thing that's going to be the important thing to keep that bleeding in check.
But once you start that, you don't stop.
No, you gotta,
You
okay.
gotta wait till somebody else comes in
Yep.
and helps.
So it's very good point. It's very labor intensive. Once you start something, you just, I'm tired of this, I'm done with this, and say, I'm out of here. No, you made a commitment to do it, so.
Could you use a long piece of cloth or something in place to make the tourniquet over that?
We'll get to improvised tourniquets in a minute. They do work, but they really are kind of frowned upon because they're hard to do if you don't know what you're doing. Keep them tight. People use belts and other things, but we'll talk about them. But yeah, it can be done, yes. But again, the manufacturer ones are the ones that are really the key things that we want to do. So, okay, that's just what he's showing there. It's just putting that pressure on there. That's kind of like your CPR positioning. So that's what we're looking at for that one. So, and we'll get a chance to have everybody try that.
High pressure, you don't let it go.
Right. Yep. Because if you do, it could start, if it's not totally clotted, it could start bleeding again, we could just have more issues. So this one's just gonna show you how we're gonna pack a wound, okay? Now, packing a wound, like I said, there's certain areas where packing will work, like I say, in the extremities. It's more about this area here, up in this area here, anywhere other than really the abdominal area or up in the lungs here like that, because there's so much area in there that it's hard to get that packed. But what we're going to be using for packing a wound, you can just use any kind of gauze that you have, okay, in your first aid kit. They do have special gauze that's designed for packing. It's hemostatically treated, so it's going to help clot quicker. But this is what it kind of looks like. It's usually in a Z-roll like this, so it's easy to roll out. You just get your hand where the wound is, put your finger in there, try to feel down and see if you can feel the vessel that's bleeding from, put pressure on it with your other hand. You're going to take it and just push it in there like this and just keep shoving this material in there until you can't shove any more in there, okay? So you're going to put that in there. Once that's filled, that void's filled, you can take what's left and just put it right on top like that. And then you're going to go into your CPR position, put your palm of your hand right there, you know, like your fingers lift up and just push down as hard as you can. And keep that pressure up like that, okay? Now, you're going to do that. Now, if you happen to have a pressure dressing like this bandage, this is Israeli bandage. This is, you can wrap it and tighten it down. And this thing's really cool. Come up and play with it when you get a chance here. But what it does, this goes to the wound right here. So this would go right over like this. And then this device goes like this, and you wrap it around like this. Then it fits through this little device here. Oh, sure. It fits like that. And then go like this and pull back like this. And when you pull back, it puts pressure down there like that. This one's been used a lot, so you can put that pressure. So that's putting pressure. Then you just keep wrapping this around and around until you get that tight. And that the wound's packed. Then it has pressure on it, so you don't have to continue holding. You'll probably have to hold that pressure so you can get one of these guys there to put this on there. But once this is on there, there should be enough sufficient to hold that material that we pack the wound with in place. Those are really slick things. There's different types. Again, most of them are like this, that you put it in, pull it back, and it pushes pressure down on that.
Are the granules that they sell you can get, do you address those at all?
There's a debate on the granules. A lot of people don't like them anymore because a lot of these new material they have on now are, I'd say, treated, and they think it's better to do. It's hard to get some of those out. All these gauze that are designed for packing, they have the marker in it so you can see it under X-ray, so you know if everything's out. So they're they've done a good job of getting those things dialed in. So it's but yes, those are still out there. I'm sure there's some people that are still using those, but it's kind of rare that we don't use them in our setting in EMS or anything like that. But they may still be used. So Okay, so what we just did there, that was packing a wound. Now we could have done this on the extremity if we didn't have a tourniquet. We could do it in, like I say, in the shoulder area here, in the neck, down in this area here. Really anywhere but right in the middle of the abdominal area there, okay? Because that's such a big area, it's hard to pack enough material in there, so. Now we're gonna look at tourniquets. Again, that's the first choice for using it in the extremities. And what really we should be using is these purposely made tourniquets, okay? And what this one here, I got over here, you can come up like I said, but this is what we call a CAT tourniquet, combat application tourniquet. This is what the military uses, this is what we use. There's other ones out there. I'm not recommending one over another, but this is a good one I'm familiar with. So they're very easy to use. They're not that expensive. They're about 30 bucks for a good one. So be aware, if you're going to Amazon and see one, a CAT tourniquet for $3.95, I would not buy it because obviously there's something wrong. We've seen those where they make the windlass here that you crank. They're really cheap. It snaps off. The Velcro is not worth a darn. It doesn't hold. So you get what you pay for in tourniquets. So buy a good one if you're going to get one. So, and you'll see again, there's several different other ones out there. But using a tourniquet is pretty simple. So, like I say, the green area there is where we can use tourniquets. Okay. And then the last bullet point there, improvised tourniquets can only be used as a last resort. So someone asked about improvised tourniquets. We'll talk about them in a little bit, but again, there's some things we have to be aware of in using those things. So that's what a tourniquet's going to be used for, or the locations we're going to use a tourniquet. Okay, a couple things we want to look for is applying a tourniquet. Where are we going to put it? Okay. The general rule is 2 to 3 inches above the wound, okay? So, now you can apply a tourniquet through clothing or without, anything cut away, shirt or whatever. You don't have to do that to get it on there quick. Time is the essence. So, if you can see where the wound is at, go a couple inches above, 2 to 3 inches, and that's where it's going to go. You don't put it on an elbow or a knee, so you stay away from joints. You want to do that. Don't get near that. You don't put it over the wound itself, okay? So it's above the wound a couple inches. Now there's an exception to that, and there's some debate out there now. A lot of people like to put them up as high as you can right away, okay? Bingo. It's up here, we put it right here, crank it down. People like that because what's in your upper arm and leg, one nice big bone, okay? You clamp down there really good, get good pressure on that. And it's also easy to do it because there may be times where you cannot see where the wound is at, okay? So I can't see where it's at, the blood's just gushing on this guy's leg, I need to do something now. Just slap it on high as you can and crank it down, okay? If you are putting it on over a pocket, you gotta make sure that there's nothing in the pocket, no keys or things like that. You wanna make sure that you're free of that when you put this thing on. But a lot of people like it going up high. We did active shooter training here in Perrysburg, and what we are told to do in that is just do it quick. We go in there with a team of police and fire. We go in there, we just slap tourniquets on people like right and left. We don't have time to look where the wound's at. If they're bleeding, we just go as high as you can and crank it on there. So again, if you can see where it's at, you have a little, go ahead and put a couple inches. If you're in doubt and you don't know where it's at, put it up high and tight, okay? So that's the way, a good place to remember that. But 2 inches is at least good enough. Okay, the main thing putting a tourniquet on is that first application. So it'll come like this, you can put it on, we'll go up high on this one, and the key thing to remember is this first pull like this. The thing you want to do, you want to get this as tight as you can, the initial pull. I'm pulling that as tight as I can. You want that tight, okay? Because doing this does a couple things. You got starting some clamping action already, and now when I turn this windlass here, it's not going to take as many turns to get that bleeding to stop. If I put this band on initially too loose, it may crank. I may run out of cranks before we get that bleeding stopped. So this thing has to be on tight. You should not be able to get your fingers underneath it. If it's that tight, that should be good. So that initial application is going to reduce how many times you have to crank it down. So we're going to crank the windlass. How far? How long? Until what happens? Bleeding stops. Or try to, or get it as slow as you can, okay? You may not get it 100% stop, but if you get it really slowed down, that's good. There's something we can do to finish that off. So once you get it to that point, you just lock the tourniquet, or the windlass under this little latching mechanism there, and you put the safety strap over it, and then you want to record record the time on here, or on the guy's arm, or on his forehead or something, or where, or what time that tourniquet was put on there, and they'll take that information to the hospital so they know how long that's been on there, so. So that's how simple it is really to put one on there, so. But the thing is, when you put it on, it's gonna be very painful for the person. If they're conscious, they're probably gonna be calling you all kinds of names and screaming at you, please, it hurt me so bad, loosen it up. Once the tourniquet's on, we're not loosening it up. It's not gonna be loosened up until it's in the hospital or they get to the OR and get pristine started to correct the damage. So, once it's on, it's on. So, they may not like it, but again, hey, this is saving your life, guys. So, that's what it's gonna be. So, tourniquet's on, not gonna loosen it up. In the old days, we used to rotating tourniquets, you did all these things, all those things kind of go off. Let's loosen it up every 5 minutes and get the blood back to the, no, it's on there, it's on there. So that's a big change that has come out of this program, so. Okay, keep on moving here. Okay, then like they say, in the rare case, it may not stop the bleeding if I got it pretty well under control, but it's still bleeding a little bit from the wound. My wound's right here. I put the tourniquet on, it's still bleeding. I take some 4x4s or something, just put some more pressure on there, just kind of to try to stop, finish it off from bleeding. So, again, like that tourniquet's painful, they're going to be screaming at you, but that's normal. Only removed by a trained personnel. So, all right, let's see.
Sorry, one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you allowed to do a tourniquet and then the Israeli wrap over top of it for pressure management, or is that too much? Like if you're still having bleeding?
Yeah, you can put it on, sure.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt anything. We're trying to get that
Right.
stopped, so, yes.
And we're great with time.
Well, thank you. Okay.
We're gonna keep going here.
So I have a question.
Yes,
So if someone's in pain, are they gonna do this thing?
what's that now?
Are they gonna lift their arms and put them in?
They probably won't, I'm not gonna say they'll never do it, but they're gonna be,
Well, how do you get them to stop flailing?
this depends on what the injury is,
You
how
sit on
bad it
top
is.
of them?
What's that?
Okay.
Sometimes you may have to,
You might have to, okay, I'm not planning on ever doing this.
many
If
times,
someone's in
they're,
pain, maybe the first thing.
many times they're not gonna be very active, okay? If this,
Oh, they're not, okay.
yeah, they're gonna be pretty well.
Um,
Yeah, because they've already had some blood loss, so it's going to be, they're going to be probably diminished on level of consciousness a little bit. So that's usually not a big issue. Okay, so now here's just a couple views of some different tourniquets. So there are different brands. This one is CAT tourniquet. Now they come in different colors. The blue ones are traditionally used for training because you can only use the tourniquet one time. Once it's used, you shouldn't use it again because it's stretched and things like that. So they don't recommend using it more than once. Obviously, we use training ones over and over, so that's why they're blue, so they don't get mixed up and someone takes it on a run that's been used and going to fail. So you're going to see black ones and orange ones, okay? Traditionally, the ones we use in EMS are orange ones. They're very easy to see if they're on somewhere and get to the hospital so that they can see it in the ER really quick. There's a tourniquet, so that's what we traditionally use. Black ones are used more for law enforcement and the military because they may be in a lot of scenes where they're putting the tourniquet on, they're in a tight situation, they don't want to have a bright orange thing, a guy can zoom in on that, oh, there they are, and, you know, go from that way. So military and the police usually have black ones that are a little bit more discreet, so, but they all will function the same way, but that's just kind of the way they're broken down and how they are designed. So, again, they say right there again, do not be so cheap knockoffs because you're going to probably be throwing your money away because it's going to fail at the wrong time. So we don't want that to occur. Okay, here's the summary of basically what we talked about. Empowers people to do things. You just understand. Pressure stops bleeding. Remember that. Again, we're just trying to do this as a step until help arrives and takes over for us. Okay, this is just the initial things we can do to help someone. Okay, again, tourniquets, arm and legs, packing, and the other things we can use in other areas. We'll show you that. Come up here, so. All right. Again, you know, Stop the Bleed again is that program that's out there. They do have kits and things like that. You can buy it and do that. You don't have to get a Stop the Bleed kit, but I would recommend everybody has some type of Stop the Bleed kit because it's, you know, if you do at home and you have an incident where someone gets cut and bleeding, it's very frustrating to say, okay, where's my tourniquet at? Where's my gauze at? Oh, it's over here. This is in this drawer here. You have everything together. You can just grab it and go, okay? So that's why these type of things are important. Yes, ma'am?
I recommend everyone have multiple of them in your car.
Yes.
Because if you have an accident and you have kids in your car, and
Yep.
you don't have to choose which kid
Yep. know, some of the stuff is,
To help as many people as you can and not have to make hard choices like that.
right, I mean,
And I would love to know more information for you at the end about school safeties and lockdowns. I know most schools have someone that's trained, but I don't know if they have more than one stop per kid. They
Yes,
should
that
be in
is-
every classroom and multiple in every classroom.
when we respond to a scene, you know, it's, obviously we're there, it's bad.
Yeah.
When we go in, I don't know how they do it, we go in, we have the advanced team of police, 4 guys, they go in first and try to flush out the guy. We're going in, we have 2 police and 2 fire, whoever's in the EMS part of it. We go in, we have fully staffed, we have basically tourniquets, and that's what we carry, okay? And we go in and it's just, you know, triage at the lowest level, man. Someone's bleeding, we slap this on there. Someone in cardiac arrest, one of those scenes, sorry, we're not gonna stop and do it. We're just doing the things we can do really quick, get the tourniquet on and move on to the next one. So, we have a lot of supplies. I know some of the schools in this area have multiple kits, but not all. I know some that only have one. So, again, we tell them, hey, if something bad happens, that's not gonna last very long. So, but, you know, for us in EMS, we have a pretty good supply of things. So if we are responding to one of those scenarios, we have, you know, a pretty good supply of equipment to get things started and hopefully help arrive with more stuff. But yeah, it's again, this is kind of what a basic one looks like. Again, tourniquet, that quick clot, which is a hemostatically treated dressing, then the compression bandage, or Israeli or whatever type you want, it doesn't matter. Pair of gloves, a marker to write down the time. So that's pretty much what a kit may be. There's tons of these out there. You don't have to buy Stop the Bleed. You can buy bits and pieces of them. Again, it's not really cheap to buy this stuff. These hemostatically those dressings, these can be, you know, $45 just for one. So, but it's worth the having because, again, once it happens, you can't think about it. Just get it. Have a couple.
How much is like just that stuff that we get, what's the average price?
They,
of that?
It's
for a good one,
$61
then with a lot of stuff in here, probably gonna be $100.
She said 61.
You can get some cheaper ones, yeah, but they just don't have as much stuff in them. You get some that
This
have.
one, the stuff we.
It says stuff.
Okay, hers
And
not
that's-
on
Yeah, and there's levels, they have the basic and the intermediate and advanced. Advanced ones have like a blanket in there to put on if they're cold, they have scissors. Some have, the chest seals that you can use on for sucking chest and things like that. So you pay a little bit more, you get a little bit more to it, but that's it. But the basic one, yeah, $50 you can get one put together for something like that. Usually just have a tourniquet, that's something, so that's better.
The fire department's already looked at purchasing a quantities, like you're coming to this thing, probably each one of us would purchase one off of you to go home with it. To have it where you could get it at a discount or, because then you know you're going home with it, because I wouldn't buy one to go home with it.
Right, no, it's, and we thought of that, and we're not allowed to really sell things that we get, it's just all.
Okay.
But it is, but we've gone together, we bought a bunch of them for the cities and other things like that, putting them in all the vehicles and things like that, but hopefully it's gonna change because this movement is hopefully, you know, increasing more and more awareness to all that kind of good stuff, so. All right, I think we're almost done with that. Again, some of the kids have, dressing for a, chest or torso wound. These things here are great. If you have a wound in the abdomen, you can put this on, you can come up and look at this. Again, it's just, a seal that you can put on there. Again, it's, looks something like this. Peel down there, you stick it right on, and that makes a nice tight seal for a sucking chest wound or an abdominal wound that's bleeding bad. You put this on there, the pressure on top of that. So again, depending on the level of kit you buy, there's gonna be more things in it, so. All right, let's see where we're at now. I'll let you guys get a chance to come up and try some of the stuff here. Again, there's a few of the kids, how they look, things like that. So again, hopefully we're seeing more of these things out in public and it's more people are aware of it. It's going to be something that grows and grows and grows. So that's what we're trying to do. And again, you can go on their website, look, they're pretty active in things, promoting things. So they do a really good job on getting the information out to people and trying to get people trained. This really wasn't a topic that a lot of people were familiar with or just wanted to take the time to look at, so. Okay, so that's kind of the presentation. If you guys want to come up and try some of this stuff, please do. If you want to put a tourniquet on, come on up, put one on, pack a wound. I got plenty of stuff here, you can try it. Because it's better to try it now than in a real situation, so. So, now, which one you want to try?
Whatever, the men's ring.
All right, let's do tourniquets first, so, all right. So, now this is a way tourniquets are kind of stored, you wanna set it up like this.
You want me to just like this large?
Goes like that, goes like this,
Do you want the person
Like
that
this?
passed out of
like that. So you have this set like this, when you get to the scene, you go like this, whip it out, and it's ready to go on. So, if you buy a tourniquet, don't leave it in the packaging, take it out, because if you leave it in the packaging, you gotta get it out. A lot of people make that, look, my tourniquet's fresh, it's still in the pack. Well, it doesn't do, you gotta wait, however long to get it out, so. There's some tourniquets, so I've got a couple things here for you guys, grab a couple and, now, let's see, there's your wound there, so you wanna go how far up?
2 to 3 inches.
Very good, there's your wound there. Put it on there. Now, the key is getting that first pull. So you're good. Pull it as tight as you can.
Turn this and tuck it in there.
There you go.
Yeah,
Now
they're
crank
not gonna
it.
be happy.
No, they're screaming. They're
Yeah.
calling you all kinds of. But make sure you got it tight. Can you crank it a couple times?
I can't crank it because it's.
Okay, let's get that out of there. And crank it.
We're
And it's
still-
just
we're
gonna get
still
harder
using
the more you
blood.
crank it.
We're still using blood here.
Oh, you good to.
That's good.
Yeah.
Something underneath there?
Yeah.
There?
That
Put that on
knives
there.
scare me. I don't like
And
them.
you take your marker right on his arm, right down there, and there you go. Now you're gonna loosen this
So
up.
you don't worry about it, right? Just
So
tighten
you
it
can-
down.
Yeah, you can
Trauma,
wrap
your
it around.
husband-
Okay, but it's your time, it's okay just to leave the pain,
But
to get
initially,
this
yeah,
thing.
some people
I'm a
still
physician
need there,
assistant.
but they get that initial.
There,
Once you get
holding
on
it,
you need
and then
help.
if it's not,
But like
well,
that,
we never,
so.
we didn't do it. We
There
don't
you
do
go,
this.
very good.
Only, well, I did, we do
Sorry?
ER, but they don't like take the time to like do a stop the bleed training with us when we're in our ER rotation.
Now, there's other, besides the,
Oh, look at there is a
different one.
yeah, there's different types other than the, this, there's different brands, but that's what we call a,
And then you go through
Israeli
just
band.
once. and then
No,
wrap it?
yeah, you go through it once.
Yes.
Okay, then you got like this.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna go back the other
The
way.
other way. Oh.
Because you want to put the pressure, that's what you want, right? So you don't pull as tight as you can here, now you're gonna go back, pull it back. And that puts the pressure down on there. So just keep wrapping it around and around. And when you get to the end of it, you'll see there's these little clips that you can clip in there and secure it.
Okay.
So there's
I don't
a-
have, I have tourniquets, but I think these are great too. These are awesome. Yeah.
Everybody, you can buy these on Amazon, they're all good brands. But these are great to have. Again, one time use, so it's gonna throw away when you're done. Get it? Stop bleeding?
Yep,
All right, good job.
All right,
Good.
somebody else.